episode 97. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going, Dave? We're close. We're too close to the PlayStation Showcase that we have to figure out exactly what we're going to talk about this week, and figure out how we're going to cover that when that happens. But I'm excited. To talk.
I mean, they're finally talking for like the first time in like 12 or 13 months, which is super cool. Like really talking, like not a state of play or anything like that. So it'll be interesting. There's a whole bunch of rumors flying around. One of which I thought was going to be at the showcase, but has kind of been debunked now before, possibly. Yeah. That's one of our stories. So, we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that goes live every Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time on podcast services. If you could leave us a review on Apple Podcast or Podcast Addict, that is super helpful. We also live stream the show at twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, where we are a Twitch affiliate, so you are able to sub to us. And it is September for Twitch, so it's a 20% off new subs. So if you've never subbed to us and it's something maybe you want to do once and just check it out and see if you like some of the, or just an easy way to support us, you can save 20%. So it saves you, I think, like $1 or like 80 cents or something like that. Yeah. And then it's also 20% off gifted subs. So if you feel like you want to, be generous and maybe gift some subs to some people in the community, if you already are a Twitch sub to us, you get 20% off those as well. So just another good way to help support. As always, the best way to help support is leaving a review like we mentioned, as well as sharing the show. And all the other ways that you can follow us or help support us are linked in the show notes below. So we are going to jump into it, and we've got some more PlayStation news to start off with.
Yeah, not exactly the way things were planned for PlayStation, but it has a happy ending. So Horizon Forbidden West, they announced all their collector's edition. There's like several editions of Forbidden West. But the key thing that happened when they made that blog post is there was no path to upgrade from PS4 to PS5. This led to people pulling up an old Jim Ryan interview where he promised a free upgrade for Horizon Forbidden West for PS4 to PS5 users. So, to Sony's credit, they replied relatively fast. We've been seeing companies have to reply really fast because it turns out people on the internet do not forget shit. So they basically had to agree to what Jim Ryan promised, and they are now going to give a free upgrade for PS4 players to PS5. And I believe they can only do it, digital, disc to disc sort of thing, which makes sense.
Yeah. Which is how it worked 10 years ago with PS3 to PS4.
Yeah, so if you have a disc PS4, you can't upgrade that to your digital PS5 because you need to be able to authenticate with the PS4 disc, so that all makes sense. But they did get ahead of things this time, and they said this is the only time they're doing this, and in the future, for first-party Sony games, there will be a $10 charge to upgrade from PS4 to PS5, and they specifically called out God of War and Gran Turismo as the next first-party games that will have an upgrade option, but it's going to cost $10. So this is why I think Jim Ryan isn't the best at being that spokesperson. He's probably an amazing business person. We see how successful the PS5 is right now. All the studios seem healthy, but these type of interview quotes that people were able to pull probably don't help their situation. And now we have people just... just buying PS4 version.
How did this get out the door in the first place like this? Like, how did nobody at Sony's board or PR say, hey, like, we don't think this is going to be a problem because of XYZ, or our competition, put a fancy name on smart delivery, and we've always said that we have something similar to it, and now we're not doing it, so then it came out like this. Now, that's beside the point. Like, I just think that's somebody not listening to the person that sits in front of the computer at the board table. Or the person in the Zoom call that was like waving their hand feverishly in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and they got ignored. So.
I think it kind of comes down to, because of the strategy at PlayStation right now, where Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst just like talk to random magazines or websites to give out their marketing. It means they don't have like a unified
Well, it worked.
Thing.
I didn't see as much controversy around Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut because that was additional content. So I feel like that's kind of how you get away with it, and get away with it in air quotes. It's because there was a new area and new things to do that was not in the other game. But I also just talking to a couple people this week as this was coming out before Sony reverted this decision. They were like, "Well, I'm not going to play it until I get a PS5." Like they were just going to wait, and that would definitely impact sales. This sequel has the potential to possibly be the best-selling franchise title in PlayStation's history, with the more than Spider-Man, more than God of War, more than Last of Us, or like I don't have any of those numbers in front of me, but there is enough accessibility, I feel like, in this franchise of it being a unique IP to Sony as well, that it could be potentially super, super great for them. But not if people are waiting to get a PS5.
Yeah, and now you have PS5 owners that are like, why am I going to pay the extra $10 to buy it when I could just buy it on PS4 for $60?
I'd be really curious, like, if I go on my PS5 right now to buy it, do I even have the option to buy the $60 version? And I would venture to say no.
I would assume that those three little dots, the little burger thing, is there to view the product on PS4. I would imagine that option's still there, but that would be. I'm going to check that later just to see.
On the app, yeah, for sure. But when I'm talking about when I'm physically on my PS5, is it going to let me buy a PS4 version of a game when there's a PS5 version available? So all this is, like, for me personally, all this is doing, like, I just I was jumped into a party chat with Johnny as a boy the other day, and he even mentioned, like, now Horizon has the 60 frames update. So, like, this is the best time. Like, I've always told myself, like, I'm going to play this. I was like, oh, when the sequel gets dated. Okay, well, now the sequel's dated. And now it's 60 frames. So there's, like, no reason for me not to play this game at this point, the first Horizon. So,
yeah.
And when I get up overnights 100%, that might be, like, my 2-day-a-week, like, stream game that I stream for, like, 2 hours a day or something like that. And we just hang out and do that because I need to get back to streaming a little bit more. But the other thing that I find interesting is that, and this is not a criticism of you, but you said, kudos to PlayStation. So a year ago or 9 months ago, when Xbox tried to raise the Xbox Live price and reverted it within a day, all of the people were like, "Oh, look at that!" Like, look, and they were criticizing Xbox for moonwalking or backtracking on what they were doing. But now Sony does it and they praise them. This should have never come out in public in the first place. Well, this was that's a huge mistake.
When I say kudos on them fixing it, it's one of those things where, because they're number one, they technically probably can be like, fuck you, we're just doing it this way anyways. And Microsoft's in a position where they can't, because they're, in last place. So Microsoft has to be like, oh shit, we're so sorry, please don't hate us now. And Sony, sadly, I feel like I have to give them credit because of the current way they're ran, to where it's just like tough shit, we're number one, I feel is a vibe. And
we'll find out on Thursday too, but I think there's more stuff that's going to be PS4 to PS5. Like, there's more. I think so. There's more stuff than GTA and God of War, or Gran Turismo 7 and God of War. There's more. Yeah. Like, and
I think so too.
People are going to like the new announcements, like, or whatever or the new things that are either dated or announced or teased at this event, and that's great. And like, and even at this point in time, like, if it comes to PS4, it's good for gamers, because getting a PS5 or getting a Series is still a challenge. And people are coming out of the pandemic that are just now maybe going back to work. Like, I get all that, and I understand all of that. But for a company that continued to push the envelope from the PS3 to PS4 generation, and now is just merging the two generations, it's just different than what we thought or what they led us to believe from the start. And then again, this is more of never like I said before, I don't remember what it was a couple weeks ago or months ago at this point in time, but this is just another one of those things where Sony's like kind of like holding something up to the camera, and they're keeping the left side, like, their hand strategically placed somewhere, like, over the asterisk, like they're hiding something from you and just hoping that you don't freak out. And then people freaked out for Horizon. So
yeah, it definitely, and that's why I'm just like, it's not even necessarily Jim Ryan's fault. It's like their branding overall, it comes across as arrogance a lot of the times, of just like, their marketing in general is super confusing. Okay, so yeah. I've seen, and I know I'm going to start seeing more of it as NFL season starts. Thankfully, footballs are going to be back. Tons of lately, like during, whatever, you don't like football, forget you. It's boring as shit.
But like, even like during the NBA finals, like watching some of that, or watching baseball games, that's really the only time I watch live TV. So that's the only time I see these commercials as a point of reference for what I'm saying. I saw commercials for Ratchet and Clank, and at the end of the commercial for Ratchet and Clank, it showed a picture of PS4 and PS5. Why? Like, it doesn't
Wait, it
work
did?
on PS4. It did. Yeah.
I'd have to look at those ads. That's super weird.
And I was like, I mean, I'm 90% sure it showed a picture for PS4 and PS5.
I don't think
and
no way it did.
And it
Like, I
only
can't
showed
imagine.
and it only showed Ratchet and Clank. If it showed something else, like, that's fine. If it was a commercial for Horizon or whatever. But I knew there was something. I was like, what the heck? And then and I've seen. I want to say I've seen. It might have been a Twitch ad, but I've seen starting to see advertisements for Deathloop. And I don't remember if that did or didn't. I don't even know if it had anything. So in terms of, it just maybe said console exclusive, which is what it is. So
Yeah.
it's just really, really weird. And it is what it is. They're a multi-billion-dollar business, like you said. They're number one. They're demolishing, pretty much again 2-1 over Xbox, even though Xbox doesn't care how many boxes they sell. And we're due
For
as
now.
much as people hate it. We're due. Like, Xbox needs, and also probably has one, knowing their strategy, like another big Game Pass announcement coming in the next 60 days. Like, they have to. It's been too quiet.
Yeah, we'll probably get one probably by the end of the month, I would imagine.
Or is TGS
October?
over?
No, TGS is still to come. It's usually
Okay.
like the middle end of September.
Yeah.
Though with the digital stuff, I don't know if it bleeds
Yeah.
into October now.
So
I can see them doing something else, but like my expectations, we might as well just transition to like the PlayStation showcases this week. It's happening Thursday, so the day this releases, this episode will be out. Me and Dave might record something special, depending on if it's worth doing something. But I think when they made the amendment or whatever you want to say to like all first party games from PS4 to PS5, I think you're right.
they're getting out in front.
Yeah, we'll see more games that are PS4 to PS5, and at that point, it's just Sony just doing a thing of just like, we have so many more PS4s that are already in the market, and we can't get enough PS5s out to people, so they're just trying to capitalize on their money. What scares me is knowing how pushed back game development is this going to be this is a good plan for now, for Horizon, which will be out in February, for Miles Morales, which came out at launch, but like 2 years down the road, when like God of War is out, do we really want God of War to be on PS4 and PS5, and Gran Turismo when that's out in 2 to 3 years? Do we want that to be on PS4 and PS5?
Or the double-edged sword of what game may or may not be announced at this Thursday showcase that they'll say PS4 and PS5, and then it gets the inevitable delay that almost all first-party games get. And again, that's not bad. It's just Sony trying to get ahead and make sure that people know that there's stuff coming, and they delay the games. It is what it is. Everybody dates stuff too early. So they announce something on Thursday that says PS4, PS5. It gets the delay, and then, like we've speculated over the last half a year, who's going to be the first one to say, "Hey, developing for multiple platforms is too hard, and we're just going to go next gen."
And that's happened before. Did The Last Guardian do that? It was supposed to be PS3
It was supposed
for
to be on
like
PS2,
several years,
wasn't it? No, I'm
no,
kidding.
it was supposed to be PS3, and then it ended up becoming a PS4 game.
Well, they essentially came out and they were like, the thing about that is they were so quiet about it for so long that when they finally re-announced it, they're like, hey, this is like, the game's been in development, yes, but it stopped and it started again. And when it started again, it started on PS4 only.
Yeah.
So
we're bound to get one of those games of like, hey, we're sorry, we tried to do it and we just couldn't.
And if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Sony. Going to be like, hey, you know what? Like, and it'll be, I don't even know what the number is. It'll be when it's 18 million PS5s out there, where they feel like even at a 30% attachment rate, we're happy with this number. And that's when it's going to be. So,
yeah, but I'm excited for the PlayStation Showcase on Thursday because I kind of don't know what to expect from it. Like, we'll get more Horizon gameplay, even though I think we don't need Horizon gameplay.
We'll see Kenna again just before it comes out.
And we'll probably get an actual God of War something.
There'll be a trailer.
Like,
there'll be a trailer.
Yeah.
So we'll get a God of War trailer. We'll get a deeper dive into something like a new toy that Aloy has in Horizon. A new gadget, I would assume. As
probably
well
get Ghostwire.
Yep.
What
do you think about all the heavy rumors that I'm seeing online about Infamous?
I don't know. It depends
my first question is, who's doing it? Because I don't think it's Sucker Punch.
No, I think that would end up being like a Blue Point thing, but that doesn't.
Do they announce the Blue Point purchase acquisition and say this is what they're doing?
I think we find out what Blue Point's doing. I don't know if you announce in the middle of this, like, hey, we acquired them, in the thing.
I see. I think you do the Blue Point logo at the beginning. If Blue Point is working on Infamous or any other marquee IP, you do the Blue Point logo at the beginning. You do the trailer for whatever that game is, and then at the end of it, you say, "Now a PlayStation Studio." At the end of the trailer.
Yeah. Or when they do the blog post introducing the game, they announce it there. I have higher expectations for Blue Point. I love Infamous, but if it's just a remake of Infamous 1 and 2,
that would suck. If it's a continuation of Cole's story, like somehow or something, or taking place within the Infamous universe as Cole, like between 1 and 2, maybe, I think that would be cool.
Yeah, but if it's just a remake of the first one, I love the first game, but like I kind of am past open world games like that, so like especially Blue Point, weren't they saying that they're working on like their most ambitious project? And to me, Infamous doesn't fit as like a super ambitious
I mean, you agree with me though that it can't be Sucker Punch, right?
I don't know, it could be. I don't think they had the full team working on the Ghost DLC.
Then I guess if it is Sucker Punch, it's a remake or it's a remaster. It's not a new story.
Yeah, well, Sucker Punch, I feel like, is the only one that can touch it and continue the story, as opposed to if it's just a remake, then you do give it to a Blue Point. If it's just like, hey, we're just, remaking this game.
Yeah, I guess then, or this is a Miles Morales style. Yeah,
which we've seen with First Light, I think was that like standalone Infamous game on a PS4. Yeah. That is what I would imagine we would see Infamous is like, if it's Sucker Punch, it's like a new game. If it's a remaster, it's another studio.
And then there's Insomniac's tweeting about Resistance again.
It's a 10-year anniversary, so it just passed. So I'm actually replaying Infamous Resistance 1 right now. There would need to be a lot of work. That I feel like would be a more ambitious project. For Blue Point, because the first one's good story-wise, but it is very simple, feels like 2006, 2007 sort of shooter.
Then the only other rumor that's come to mind that I've seen recently too is like, what do you think about the speculation about Spider-Man 2?
I think we can see something for Spider-Man 2. I feel like it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities for them to have a CGI trailer with like a 2023 date on it. Especially as much as I know you don't want it to just be in New York again.
Right.
It's going to be in New York.
If it's in New York again, it should come out next year.
I can see it being like one of those March 2023 games.
But at the same time, I think that, like the way that game development's been working lately, you can get away with doing it with New York and maybe doing some more underground stuff in New York. And
because you have multiple Spider-Men, you can put someone in a completely different part of the world and totally be fine, and that's where you can have some diversity in terms of like gameplay. I think we will probably see something short. We'll probably see something meaty for God of War, but then a super teaser for Spider-Man 3, even if it's just the Spider-Man logo with 3 on it, or 2 actually. Sorry, Spider-Man 2.
Do you think that we'll see anything Dreams related or Media Molecule related?
No. I think if anything, we see a Dreams coming to PS5 trailer. Okay. Because it's not got a
officially
PS5
on
upgrade.
PS5.
Yeah. Dreams is Media Molecule is one of those studios that I worry about in current Sony.
They don't make games right now.
Yeah, they make cool experiences, and does that hit the bottom line that they want to do? Or do they challenge Media Molecule with like, hey, we need to do a ambitious single player game, which I think they could do with their art styles and everything. But then they have
the last question too that comes to mind is like, do we see any teases from Housemarque again?
That one I feel like is too soon.
Okay.
For Housemarque, unless it's Returnal DLC, which I don't know.
Returnal DLC now with saves.
Something like here's how we end the year with Returnal.
Yeah.
With like big patches, Returnal 2.0 sort of thing. I can see that. Okay. And then just whatever surprises they might have, based on last week's news story of Naughty Dog hiring a bunch of multiplayer people. I don't think we see the Naughty Dog thing unless we see The Last of Us getting an official PS5 release, which I could see for The Last of Us Part 2.
But see, the thing that concerns me about everything that we just talked about is that as much as I would love to see everything we talked about, there's nothing new.
that is
new. So.
And that is the current state of gaming right now, where everyone's kind of they have to hold out for a little bit for more consoles to sell and for developers to like be in offices again.
Yep. And then I guess something that I thought we would see announced at this event, possibly with a partnership. But do you want to take this next story?
Yeah, Alan Wake Remastered. So this popped up in the Epic Game Store a couple months ago, but people didn't know if it was just a re-release of the PC version because it's available on Steam and everywhere else. So Remedy was pretty quiet about that, but then a Taiwanese site put that it's coming out October 5th for PS5 and Xbox Series S and X, but it was confirmed today by Sam Lake, one of the people over at Remedy, and it is real. They didn't give a release date on it, but they said it's a 4K resolution, and it's going to come with the game's expansions and commentary from the creative director, Sam Lake himself. Again, no release date was given for it, which means there's still a chance we might see this at the PlayStation Showcase with a release date. Because the release date the Taiwanese site was putting was October 5th, which is super close, which is totally doable for something like this, especially with PS5 and Series X being pretty damn close to PCs. They can, relatively quickly, depending on how long they've been working on this, get this over to the new consoles. Mm-hmm. This is a pretty cool announcement. Remedy did regain the rights, I think, like last year, 2 years ago for Alan Wake, so this could have been in the works for a while as Control became more successful, and they brought Alan Wake into the Control universe. So this seems like their plans coming all together.
Yeah. And then it being at the PlayStation event is great because the majority of the people that will probably be paying attention hardcore to the PlayStation event more than likely didn't have access to this game because it was an Xbox exclusive or PC. Yeah, it was Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox and PC. Yeah.
This is something that, especially like as soon as I got my hands on an Xbox and got my hands on Game Pass, that a lot of my friends were saying, "Hey, you got to check this out. You got to check this out," and I didn't. Again, for no particular reason, but partially, I guess the main reason is partially because I'm the guy that's like, oh, old game is old. But if there's a remaster coming and it's actually going to control better, then and look better, then it would definitely be something that it would interest me more than going back and playing the other game, which I'm not opposed to doing. But this is kind of more nudging me in that direction, similar to like what I just have been doing with Skyward Sword and stuff. I would never have gone back and put the disc in my Wii that doesn't work anymore. But
yeah, but also what you're doing with Horizon. Now that Horizon's got the 60 frame patch, you're like, well, there's no better time to play Horizon.
Correct.
Why would you download Alan Wake on your Xbox
when I know that a new Alan Wake is coming? So so this is cool. Like I said, Johnny's been kind of pounding the table for me to play this game, and this will give me even more of a reason to play it. So.
Yeah, I'm just happy. Remedy's one of those studios that I've always liked, one of those developers. So seeing them, get control of their IP, and then now they can release this. And people have been wanting an Alan Wake sequel, and some people didn't like Control that really loved Alan Wake. This is one of those times you can vote with your wallet. If they can sell enough Alan Wake copies, they'll be like, you know what, let's put an Alan Wake 2 on here, as opposed to just kind of jamming Alan Wake into Control. Because Control is their future as of right now, because financially it was their most successful game.
Right. But if you want an Alan Wake 2, buy Alan Wake Remastered on whatever platform you play on.
Yeah, and they'll know like there's enough interest, and that's what you have to try and do is vote with your wallet here. So they're giving you a chance to let them know that you care about Alan Wake, and it's going to probably cost you $70 on PlayStation 5.
70. I love that transition.
Yeah. All right. The last bit is a little bit of rumor, but enough websites have confirmed it, though with Nintendo stuff that sometimes doesn't mean shit, because Nintendo does what Nintendo wants to do. Yep. So Nintendo is apparently adding Game Boy and Game Boy Color games to the Switch Online service. So currently right now we have I think it's 80 NES games and 50 Super NES games on Nintendo Switch Online. And it looks like Nintendo Life and Eurogamer were able to separately God, can't talk.
Separately? That's awesome. That's a me word.
Sorry. I'm like reading as I'm doing this. But they were both able to confirm this through different sources that it is happening. And it also happens to coincide with the 3rd year anniversary for the Switch Online service. So every year it's been around, they've added another platform. Some people data mined some files on the Switch and were able to find stuff that does point to Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games coming, though both Nintendo Life and Eurogamer were able to only confirm Game Boy and Game Boy Color, which I like are being considered 2 different platforms when they very much don't feel like 2 different platforms. But this is pretty cool. I've been wanting them to get closer and closer to adding all of this legacy stuff to their service.
It's all part of it. So like this is like not them trying to. Unsurprisingly, it's not Nintendo trying to nickel and dime us. It's just part. It'll just become part of the Switch Online $20 whatever $30 a year thing that it costs. And it seems to work. I mean, Owen messes with it a little bit. The GBA or the Game Boy stuff is intriguing to me as a dad of Owen, because they're easier to play. So for him, it's something that he could definitely mess with. But at the same time, he's been playing a ton of mobile games on his phone lately, downloading just crap and then deleting it and downloading and deleting and downloading. And that's what he's been doing. To where if I put a Game Boy Advance game in front of him, he'll probably be like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing I hope people keep in check, especially if it is only going to be Game Boy and Game Boy Colors at first. And it's
I don't know why I said Game Boy. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. Well, because Game Boy Advance is rumored to be part of this, but it hasn't been confirmed by those sites. There's not a ton of great games on the Game Boy Color and Game Boy that they're going to be able to pull from, because there was a lot of third-party stuff. Like, you got a lot of shovelware and a lot of third-party stuff that is tied to IPs that either don't exist anymore or it's too hard to track who owns it. So there's not a lot of Donkey Kong, Mario on the Game Boys. You do have some Legend of Zelda DX like remakes of the NES and SNES.
They're crap.
And then of course you have well, because those have also been remastered. Like there's a Metroid game that's on the Game Boy Color, but they remade that for the GBA and like the GameCube. So. Then also there's several Pokemon games. You know, you have Pokemon like Yellow, Red, we have Gold and Silver, that have also been just remastered. So it's going to be interesting to see what Nintendo wants to put out on there. I think they're going to have to put some Pokemon games on there or there's going to be no point, because when you think of the Game Boy, you think of Pokemon, so they can't just skip.
I mean, honestly, like the Pokemon and Tetris is the first thing that comes to mind. So.
Yeah. And that Tetris, I don't know who has the rights to that. Like, Nintendo published it, but if you've ever looked at, like, the history of Tetris, it is a very complicated history. And they have smaller stuff, too, like the Wario games are on there. There's some interesting stuff, but, like, if you Google Game Boy Color games and then you use that, like, that top tier that Google has to, like, sort through them, it's a lot of third-party stuff, which... realistically, they're not going to get the rights to, or they're too mature. Like, they're not going to get Grand Theft Auto on that service. And
not for free.
Not for free. But this at least opens the door for them to just get further along in there. And I have a feeling we will eventually get to N64 and GameCube, but I think they're going to save that for the next Switch, for Switch 2.0.
And charge more for the online, and charge rightfully so. They need to charge more for the online, as long as it also adds a actual online system, like with voice chat and stuff, or some partnership with like Discord, which I'll talk about a little later.
I really think they're holding on to those features for Switch 2.0 because I have a feeling the Switch 2 or whatever you want to call it, it's not going to have that many impressive hardware features, and they're gonna have to hit the software really hard, and that's
software and quality of life. Quality of life with battery and grip and like the Joy-Cons not drifting, like stuff like that. Like they're gonna have to talk about all of that in terms of something that sold so well to like you said, there's not going to be the software to immediately to back it up of saying, hey, essentially, you remember like this and this and this that annoyed you about your current Switch? Well, here's the new one, and it has this, this, and this is why you want it.
Yeah. They're not going to hit us with the new Switch 2.0 or whatever and be like 4K, 120 frames. They're going to be like, hey, we can consistently hit 60. And hopefully there'll be some sort of backwards compatibility thing, especially as I buy more physical Switch games. I hope for some backwards compatibility. But I think they're going to hold on to that GameCube N64 Switch Online services stuff for the next Switch, and kind of just lie to people and be like, we couldn't do that with the current hardware, even though any Raspberry Pi can run those games. But we're at least getting there. We're moving forward. I'm really hoping we get to the point where they can find a way to do DS games. I think they could do some really cool things, even if the only way to play a DS game is to put the Switch vertically.
Or well, I don't even know. I was going to say dock mode, but you can't. That doesn't happen either. Yeah, I was going to say, or they figure out some way. No, that's the feature. That's the feature of Switch 2 is that you can plug a cable in and still play dock it and do dual screen.
Yeah, I think the only thing they'd be able to do for the DS
is Wii U cable.
Yeah, the Game Boy adapter cable you'd plug into the GameCube.
No, you got to infrared them next to each other, like lay them next to each other, so they.
No, so you need the GameCube tap for the controllers. Plug that into your Switch, and then you have a special adapter to plug into your.
No, you're using the wrong word. You can't use cable. You'd have to use Amiibo dock.
No, they're going to hire Kojima, and it's going to be transferring. They're going to be like, we're going to transfer.
No, I'm talking about you'll have to buy a special Amiibo that has ports in it that you have to plug it into.
I would buy an Amiibo if it's just an Amiibo of a DS. Like, it's just
I'm making fun of it, but I bought that Zelda Amiibo, and I haven't taken it out of the. I haven't taken it out of the bag.
And you're telling me if they come out with an Amiibo that's just a GameCube, and they're like, hey, this Amiibo GameCube has our emulator on it, you wouldn't buy that? I would.
Yeah, like the next, like a remastered Zelda game, and we're embracing the digital marketplace by not releasing this game on disc, but you can buy this Amiibo and then you can NFC it and download it to your Switch.
Yeah, and each Amiibo just has one game, so it's just like.
Stop it! We're gonna give them too many.
This GameCube Amiibo, get the orange GameCube Amiibo, and that has one Zelda game, and you get. Nintendo
you want a new Smash Brother character? $29.99 on the Amiibo.
Yeah, Nintendo, do that shit. You'll make so much money. People will bitch about it, but then they will buy it and they will scalp it and buy it from scalpers. Just do that. It'll be fucking great. But honestly, I would buy an Amiibo. I would buy at least one Amiibo N64 just to be like, this is fucking stupid, and then put it on a shelf and be like, I'm fucking stupid. That's it for news, Dave.
Oh my gosh. All right. What we're planning on watching. So I went and I think I'm going to say this wrong, and I have told myself I needed to practice. Shang-Chi? Yes. Okay, so I saw that. Did you see it?
No, I am going to wait the 45 days until it's on Disney Plus.
So for the record, it was kind of one of those things coming off of overnights on a Thursday night into Friday morning that I was trying to stay awake for a little bit to try to reset the schedule because I knew I was going to have some more time because I don't go back to work until Tuesday evening. So I actually had like 5 days off in a row or something. Just enough time to jack with my schedule. But so I kind of like mentioned it to Angela at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hey, do you want to see like if your parents will watch Owen? Because now we have to figure that out because Jonathan and Zoe are gone. So I don't have like permanent at home babysitters. So she's like, yeah, maybe. So, and then I fell asleep. And then the next thing I know, she comes home. She's like, okay, I bought tickets and Owen's going over here. And I'm like, okay. I'm like half awake. So we went to it on technically opening day. And there was like 15 people in the movie theater.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't uncomfortable feeling at all. We went at like 4 o'clock too. So I was like, it was, but then I see like it's doing fantastic numbers. And the movie was great. Like I thought it was fantastic. For a Marvel character that I had never heard of. Yeah. And again, I'm not a huge comic book guy, so I had never heard of. They did a fantastic job telling an origin story. Like, it was good. par for the course with Marvel of enough funny moments that obviously to make you laugh and for you to remember, some really cool action scenes, and a great story.
Yeah, I want to see it. It's just I got kind of accustomed to not going to theaters because I don't like theaters in general. So I was just like, I'll just wait for this one. I don't know what I'm going to do when Eternals comes out because that's going to be another 45-day wait.
And I saw a trailer for that, and that looks amazing. It's so like that, and I'm not one of these people that wants to go to the movie theaters at all either. But at the same time, I want to make sure that it's important to me to support like my local movie theater. That's not a huge corporation, but they're big enough, I guess, that it's not the end of the world. But
yeah, if I had a small theater that was cool, I would probably consider it. But it's mostly just
the MJR. I go to MJR theaters. I think they've been purchased by a big company, but they used to be just local for the most part. So relatively, I'm okay with that. And it wasn't as busy as I thought it was going to be. So, and then I mean, we my wife and I pretty much just used that for a date night. We did movie and dinner and walked around downtown, our hometown city, for a little bit. Just kind of hung out. So that was good. If you haven't seen it and you're waiting to hear somebody's opinion and you think mine is remotely even worth your thought process, I think you should go see it. So, but if you're also like similar to Michael and either don't want to or don't feel comfortable going to a movie theater, you've got like 41 more days. So
yeah. If the theater by me wasn't so shit, I would probably go see it.
Yeah. And ours is really nice. Like the big leather recliner is very clean, very well, so pretty happy with that in general. I ended up playing a lot of Destiny this week just because I've for some reason I don't want to finish Zelda. I got to a point that I'm very annoyed with Zelda Skyward Sword where I lost a lot of my gear and I got to pick it up. And I don't think it's too hard to pick it up, but I was just more annoyed that I lost all my stuff. And then Owen's been bugging me to play it, but he also started school this week, so there's been a whole bunch of stuff going on with that. So I do want to get back to that and finish it, and then I want to finish it before Kenya comes out because I really want to play that. And then right after Kenya, it's gonna be Far Cry. So I'm actually like one drop away in Destiny from being max power for the season already, just because of the way some of my luck has gone. So when I hit max power, I'll feel better mentally because then I can just play the game for stuff that I want to do, not stuff I feel like I have to do. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So, and it's a 6, like I've said a couple times, it's a 6-month season, and I'll hit max power within the first like 3 weeks of it coming out. So I can definitely kind of chill away from that, and going into the holidays sounds fantastic. And then, but the thing that I do want to talk about positively for Destiny is the crossplay has been working fantastic. And then this week they also added cross chat, so in-game chat, and it sounds great. Something that is dumb that I don't understand. So I've played Destiny on PC and Xbox and PlayStation over the course of the last year or so, whatever this cross-save thing became a thing. On PC, obviously, it has more voice chat settings than consoles do. And on PC, I just turned in-game chat off. I turned it off when I was playing on PC because I usually, if I'm on PC, I'd be using Discord. And on console, you can't turn it back on. So like there isn't that option. So I actually had to come downstairs, log into turn my PC on, log into my account, turn in-game chat on the PC side on to be able to use it on console. So that was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So, and then this is just more. So the in-game chat, like I said, works great. The quality is great. The only thing that sucks about it is that you have to be on the same fire team. So if you're not on the same fire team as somebody, you can't even like group up and say, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just finishing this. Okay, cool. When you're done, can you join me? Like you can't do that because you're not in the same group as they are. And this just brings to the point my like Xbox and Microsoft, and I know Microsoft and Sony, and I know Sony's already working on it. Go to Discord and say, what's it going to take to make it work on the box, like to make it work on consoles, like yeah, this. There's an app called Quarrel that you can download on Xbox. That's like kind of like a backdoor version of Discord, and it works. It does. You do randomly get disconnected, and a couple of the Xbox players that I've been playing Destiny with are saying it does. It has been like causing like their system to crash, which is a little scary. But it's getting to the point where like with all these marquee games having crossplay on them throughout multiple platforms like Apex and Call of Duty and Destiny and anything else that Rainbow Six, I think I don't remember. All like these, this stuff's got to work. Like I love my Turtle Beach 720 headphones. I love them, but I can't consistently get them to connect the Bluetooth and the game at the same damn time.
And that's the most frustrating thing with those headphones, and I don't understand it. Like I don't get it. It's not a complicated thing, but then
it's two separate channels. Like, can't I just like double click something and it just works? Like,
yeah, and then sometimes it's just like, oh, we're connected to your phone. Okay, I can't hear Discord through my phone. And it's just like, okay, can I unpair it?
There was plenty of times where I could hear Discord, but I couldn't hear the game. I could hear the game, but I couldn't hear Discord, and I could never get them both to work at the same time. Yeah. And those headphones are fantastic. Full disclosure is I haven't tried it because I have the exact same headphones on Xbox that I do on PlayStation, thanks to Turtle Beach. I have not tried the Xbox headphones. Connecting to an Xbox and connecting to the Discord channel because the Xbox headphones don't use the dongle. Mm-hmm. The PlayStation ones do. And the other thing, while I'm talking about this, that I thought was kind of annoying is that, so I didn't know this, Turtle Beach has firmware for their headphones.
Yes.
And in order for you to update the firmware, you have to plug it into a PC, which is fine. Mm-hmm. You have to plug the dongle into the PC as well.
Yeah, and it took a long time, and then so when I had the problem, so I ended up having to return a pair and then get another pair, and I seemed to be working out better because with the first pair it just kept getting worse and worse. Yeah, like it went from like maybe like once every couple days I'd have an issue to like no, every day I'd had an issue, and then I returned it, got a replacement one.
However, when it works, the quality of them sounds fantastic. So when it works, it sounds fantastic. It just needs to work better.
I think what the problem is they want you to use their app as the interface for your, like,
yes, it
connects to Bluetooth through your phone, but you can't use it unless you load up the app. And I think that's the problem, is they're trying to tunnel you into an app.
But the app is terrible.
The app is shit. I don't even know what half the things do in the app.
Yeah. So,
like, that's the most frustrating thing. I'm just like, what is superhero?
As I've talked about before, all of that set aside, in terms for 100, like, and I didn't mean for this to be like a little mini headphone review, but in terms of a console gaming headset that you want for like $140, I think I've even seen them like 120 or $100 recently. Yeah. Like that's the go-to, I think, in terms of like value and bang for the buck and versatility. The Turtle Beach Gen 2s, I think, are great.
It's just consistency. It's just consistency.
But no, if you're only using them on a console, I think you're fine.
Yeah, it's just when you want to, like, I want to use Discord on my phone, then it's just like, okay, all right, let's do this. Let's see if this works right now.
Turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. Oh, it worked. Okay, because there's two people that I play Destiny with regularly that bought those headphones, and I know that they bought them because they would hear me talk to them in PSN party chat, and they would, Randy has them and Willie has them, and the Randy's like, I don't understand this, So
what like when Sarah is using it, she'll be like, "Can I give you a test call? Because I don't feel like."
Yeah, Angela offered that the other day.
Yeah, she's like, "Can I give you a test call?"
Sarah's probably using it for Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah. Final Fantasy on PS5 and Discord with my friends,
so,
and then like
it just has to stop. Somebody has to fix this. Like, please, can we just get an app? I understand that there might be partnerships and maybe give PlayStation users better features or give them Nitro. Like, I don't know, but it just come on, please work.
Yeah,
we're
getting closer. We're getting closer.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's been it for playing and watching for me this week. Like I said, hopefully this is the last week of overnight so I can get on a regular schedule again to start messing with some other games. But it's just random. I'll wake up at 2:00 in the afternoon after working overnight, or I'll wake up at 6:00 and because I'm tired, and then I just don't want to do anything, and I fell asleep. Playing Destiny the other day. I did a Johnny as a boy, like not with anybody in my group, but like everybody had dispatched off, and I'm like, I was going to do something solo, and I wake up like 3 hours later with my headphones on and like the controller in my hand still. So it was pretty bad, and I just hope to be on daytimes. By the next time we record, I hope to be on daytimes.
Hopefully.
All right, what you got?
So I'm still playing Psychonauts 2, just kind of taking my time with it. I understand it's like a 12 to 15 hour game, so I've only played like a couple more hours. Still enjoying it. The writing's still holding up so far, but that's going to be one of those slow burn games. Work has been kind of crazy, which has kind of been the theme for me and Dave this summer. So my game time has been kind of slowed down. I haven't really even been able to play Final Fantasy 14 as much. Like I hit level 37 did whatever dungeon was available at level 35, so I'm slowly going through that, but I've been taking a couple days off from even Final Fantasy 14, much to the dismay of Sarah and my friends, who are constantly just like, hey, did you open the other dungeon? Like, nope, I have not. And then a game I talked about last week, Rocket Rumble, which is that it's like a single screen 4-person racing game with a little bit of combat mixed in. Played that a little bit more. That game does get significantly better when you do have like the full 4 players going, or close to the full 4 players going, as opposed to just one-on-one. Because I was able to get more time with it, I was able to see some of the other maps. And some of the whole point of this racing game is it's kind of combat. You're kind of trying to knock the other racers off the track, and score as many points for like damaging them and getting to different checkpoints faster than them. So it's a lot of things that you can do to end up winning the game. It's not about just finishing first. It's about accumulating as many points as possible. Some of the other maps get pretty intense in terms of like the hazards, and then once you start to learn the map, using that to your advantage of just like, okay, I know what's coming up. If I can just knock the other player slightly to the left, they're not going to have enough time to dodge this hazard, and they're going to get knocked off the map. So slowly learning the strategy on that. It being early access means it's still kind of difficult to find players, but I am having fun with it. And if this game can make it to consoles, I can see this being one of those party games that you bust out when you have people over. Because I currently have like rotation of local games to play, and it does have local play. But it being on PC, I mentioned last week, isn't the most ideal situation for local play when you're playing on a PC. So if this can make it to consoles, I think there could be like some real fun times to be had here if it makes it there. But I'm enjoying that as I like casually play it whenever I have some time. It's basically like since I'm playing Final Fantasy 14 on PC, it's like, you know what, I'm. No one's playing Final Fantasy 14 right now. Let me hop on this while I wait for people to hop on. So I've been doing that. I still have my Gamefly account, which I completely kind of forgot that I had Gamefly. It happens like every once in a while I forget I have it, and I return a game.
I need to send Luigi's Mansion back.
Yeah. So I got Tony Hawk Pro Skater for the Switch from them, and it's Tony Hawk Pro Skater in handheld mode. Like it does take a little bit hit in the visual quality, and it's not at like a silky smooth 60 frames like it is on PS5, but it runs well enough that it is actually a decent port of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, which I just love having because it's Tony Hawk, one of my favorite games of all time on the Switch, and I'm always playing in handheld mode with my little fixture mount controller mount thing, which is become my go-to way to play the Switch, which just it looks ridiculous when I'm playing it because it's mounted onto the controller, but I'm happy with how Tony Hawk runs on that, and it's definitely one of those things where like I will probably pick this up when it's on sale, as opposed to just renting it, because I'm having fun in terms of like having a game I could just do 2-minute sessions and it's just portable, which is just really nice. So I've been playing that more and more. I actually kind of ran out of games to listen to podcasts to, and I've kind of also ran out of podcasts. So having Tony Hawk on the Switch, even though the soundtrack's perfect and you shouldn't mute the soundtrack, I've been using Tony Hawk to listen to podcasts as I try and 100% everything on the Switch, even though there's not an achievement or trophy system to track all of that stuff. So enjoying the hell out of that. I think that's pretty much it. I'm just waiting for a couple games. I'm still playing Ace Attorney with Sarah. We are on our 6th case, and there's 10 in total, so getting close to finishing that. I'm just waiting for Deathloop to come out, I think, next week. And then...
Is that next week, really?
I think so. I think that is next week, because reviews have already gone out, or at least people said they played and finished the game. So Deathloop is coming out... When is that coming out? Oh, no, sorry. Probably back
I knew there was impressions. I think there were some people that had some early video or early impressions, because I know like Paris got to play it.
Yeah,
But
I saw people.
I haven't seen any formal review scores hit yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen formal review scores, but there have been people that have been like, "Yeah, I beat the game." So I guess the copies are out there. So I'm looking forward to messing with that. And then yeah, September 14th is when Deathloop comes out. So next Tuesday.
Oh wow.
It'll be out. And then Kenna is I think the week after that. So there's games coming out to play. So I probably have to get through Psychonauts quicker than I'm currently playing. And then there's some good indie games that have come out over the last like couple weeks that I need to pick up and have time for. I'm really interested in playing the game Lake that people have been talking about. I was kind of sad though. It seems like a perfect game to play on the Switch, but it looks like it's only on PC and Xbox right now. Yeah. So probably have to pick that up on Xbox.
I've even had a couple of friends of mine too say like, 12 minutes, Like,
yeah.
So and then they're like, you should still probably try it, but don't like maybe lower your your expectation a little bit when you go in, which sucks because it looks so cool. But obviously, I need to make my own impressions on that. But at the same time, I want to play that game when I'm like alert and aware, like when I know what day of the week it is. Not I get a text from you or I text you like, oh crap, we're supposed to record tomorrow.
Yeah, like I probably saw too many people say like 12 minutes really wasn't worth it. And that was just like, okay, it's at the bottom of my list. And we talked a little last week because it's on Game Pass. I'm like, I don't really have a rush until they do the 2-week notice.
Which is crazy. It's exactly what Microsoft wants is that I want to keep Game Pass for what's there and for the potential of what can be there. But I'm definitely not turning it on every other day,
Yeah. So I probably won't play 12 minutes until I quit my job and have some time to spare, or wait till they give that 2-week notice that it's going away, and then I'll be like, I'll play 12 minutes now. Yeah. So that's it for playing and watching. Because there's nothing big. Let
me ask you this, just based on that little conversation we had. So, would you have just purchased Psychonauts 2 outright though?
Not until I finished Psychonauts 1, which I still haven't. I just immediately jumped to Psychonauts 2. But it probably would have been a while before I picked it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Just wondering because you just talked about play. That's a game that's on Game Pass, obviously. So.
Yeah. No. Because I haven't finished Psychonauts 1, I would feel obligated to finish that before I started Psychonauts 2. But because it was just available and I heard it had a really good introduction, video, I was just like, I'm just gonna download it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So questions and comments. Questions you can send to us using hashtag AskDigitalDays like Ollie did. I wanted to know if after playing games at 60 frames per second, do you guys ever struggle to go back to playing at 30 frames? I recently tried to go back and complete Horizon. Ironic. After 20 minutes, I had to turn it off because it made me feel nauseous. Wondered if anyone else had this experience. Well, like we just talked about, Ollie, it's got a 60 frames thing. So, this question came up. I'm trying to remember. Oh no! So like similar to this, my wife and I were just talking about this week because I'll poke and have fun a little bit and be like, oh, like the Halo Xbox Series X, because there's a little part of me that regrets getting an S instead of an X, but at the time financially it was the smart answer. And then she legitimately asked me, she's like, okay, so you play Destiny? She uses Destiny as a reference all the time because she can do this. She's like, you play Destiny on your PS5 and you play it on your Series S. Do you see a graphical visual difference? And I'm like, no. And she's like, okay, what do you need an X for then? And I can't really give her an answer. So, if I was playing the same game and I went back and forth, then I think I could see it. Because actually, as a great example, like I don't know if I would assume Skyward Sword is probably 30 frames a second since it's a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
So there is a point where I'm playing, like when I first start playing it, that I feel like I have I guess the best term would be to use is like I have a little bit of eye strain, but then it usually goes away after about 15 or 20 minutes. And then I can, like, once I get comfortable playing, and so once I'm comfortable playing Zelda, and it doesn't take me 20 or 30 minutes every time, it's just that's what it is. I think if I immediately went from playing Destiny or playing a 60 frame or a higher frame per second game and then immediately loaded up Skyward Sword right afterwards, it would hurt a little bit. But if I played Destiny and then went to work and came home and played Zelda, it wouldn't hurt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I think for me, as long as I don't see that game running at 60 frames per second, I can play it at 30.
Yeah.
I can play 30 frames per second games as long as that's the only option to play it as. Because, like with Ratchet and Clank, by default, it was at 60 frames per second. But you can knock it down to the 30 frames second, and then you'd get more visual things.
Like 4K
I tried doing
almost,
that.
right?
Yeah. I tried doing that. I couldn't do it. Like,
Okay.
I was just like, I saw it at 60 frames. There's no way I'm going to be able to play it in 30 frames by any means. So, for the most part, as long as I only have seen that game running at 30 frames, I'm fine. Like, I can switch between 60 frames and 30 frames games.
Okay.
But I can't.
Can you do it like immediately? Like, could you go from playing Overwatch to playing a 30 frame per second? Like, stop playing and then I don't know, like Ace Attorney. I'm assuming Ace Attorney probably is running at 30 frames, right?
It's not that sort of game, but yeah, I see your point.
Yeah.
Well, it's like The Witcher 3 was 30 frames.
Could you go from playing? I don't even know. Like, could you go from playing Overwatch at 8 o'clock at night and then jump over to Witcher at 11 o'clock at night as a part of a gaming session? Okay.
Yeah, but if I was playing 60 frames Overwatch and then played 30 frames Resistance, I would probably have an issue because those are both first-person shooters.
Okay.
So I can see some issues being like that, but I can switch genres and switch frames and be fine. Yeah.
So I think, Ali, like, in order to answer your question, I think that the answer is yes, but because I think maybe after the 20-minute, like, I if I were you, I would have maybe tried to power through past that 20-minute mark and see if you would have adjusted a little bit better. It might have taken some time. Obviously, I don't know how you were feeling at that point in time. But now Horizon has a 60 frame per second update, so you can go back and finish it. We'll play together. So you tell me where you are, and tweet at me where you are, and I'll try to catch up. You're probably like multiple hours ahead of me.
Yeah. I think that also we talk about this a lot. If it's steady, that also helps. Like, if we get a choppy 30 frames, I can't do that shit. Yeah. Even if we get a choppy 60 frames,
a consistent 45 is fine as long as it's 45.
Yeah, but if it goes 60 to 45, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And 30 frames per second games that can't keep 30 seconds drive me insane.
The other negative about Destiny with the crossplay is Wyatt. Some of you guys know who Wyatt is. If you've been on the streams, you've heard him, Cordy, any of my Destiny streams. He would prefer to play on PC. Obviously, he's got a better PC than he does PS4. However, the licensing for Destiny is jacked a little bit to where there's certain things that he only owns on the PlayStation he doesn't own on PC. So he can't do any new content beyond light content on a PC. He has to do it on PlayStation. So when he has to switch, the noise that he makes when he realizes that we're going to do something that he has to be on PlayStation for, which he wants to do because he wants to get the drops and everything from it, but he's just like, ugh. And then he loads it, then he loads it up, and he's like, because he's playing PS4, he's like, so he doesn't have a field of view adjustment. He doesn't have, I don't think he has 60 frames. Like, he's like, this frame rate is awful, and he's playing the same game within minutes. Like, and he's going from he's going from 100 frames to 30.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that either.
he's love you, Wyatt, but he's all right. So Kyle sends in a question. Hey guys, do you think 2022 will be the best year for video games since 2013? 2021 has been pretty disappointing in terms of quality and quantity of releases. I'll always remember this year as the pandemic finally catching up to the industry and a full year filled with delays. Interested to hear your thoughts. Thanks for all you do. I think 2023 is being set up to be a very, 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 very good year because I think games are being pushed into 2022 because they need to be. And I also think that there has been development of newer stuff has probably been put on hold entirely because of the pandemic. And I don't think we're out of the pandemic yet.
Yeah, what I fear with a lot of games that got pushed to 2023 or 2022 from this year is they might have some cut features. We might not notice all of the cut features, but there might be some stuff where they're like, we got to pull back our ambition just a little bit. I think there's a good chance that 2022 will be a great year. Just if you look at the first half, it's like we have Elden Ring, which has been in development for a long time, so that will probably be safe. We have Saints Row, which has probably been in development for a long time, coming out in February, so that will probably be safe. There are games that are coming out next year that Starfield will be coming out in November of next year, and that's been in development for a long time. So there's a lot of games that have been in development a long time that will make it out next year, that will probably be like potentially all-time greats. But then we're going to get a lot of games that were pushed back this year to 2022 that are probably going to have some uneven parts because they went from like working in an office to working from home to maybe working back into the office to then being back home. As we've heard some situations
I don't want to.
like
I don't
that.
want to keep tying stuff to Destiny, but it's what I've been playing lately and what I've been tying some stuff to where Bungie came out and said, "Hey, with COVID and the pandemic, Witch Queen, which was scheduled for late September, early October, isn't coming until late February now." And so that's 5 or 6 months, and that's for a live service game that they can continue to work on. I don't think that we're going to see the peak of these console generations until studios are back in office full time, like in their offices,
or like, find a completely perfect remote system. Which is possible that some developers will never go back to the office. Correct.
Or games are developed beginning to end. This way, and like they've had to pivot to where like where we heard about companies testing 10 or 15 people working from home, and then 10 days later everybody was working from home. And things of what they're used to where, like where there's a high overturn in the gaming industry like there always is. But, a game to be concept and greenlit and built and developed from this remote style versus there's still like this is still happening of like, damn it, I could do this better if the guy was sitting next to me. Like, and now they need to learn how to do it without it. And for a new IP, like a brand new IP start to finish, like that's scary. So
but there's still always a chance that 2022 could be good, or be one of the better years in gaming, just with some of the games I listed off, and then games we'll find out sooner. But I do like that so I've been saying 2008 is the best year in gaming. I believe Kyle said 2013 or 2013 was the best year in gaming. And then unrelated, one of the people in the Facebook group is talking about 2007 being the best year of gaming, or one of the best years. So it's just fun.
Sounds like a really cool Patreon episode that I would actually have to do some research for.
You would, yeah. I could go off the top of my head for a lot of these, but yeah. So it's funny seeing everyone do that, because 2013, pretty good. I still think 2008 was better. And then I saw 2007. It's like, actually, 2007's pretty good too.
Yeah.
If we get old man Josh, he could probably say 97 or 98. Because I think one of those last couple years of the 90s was also really good. But I was also 7 or 8. So there's a ton of like good years. But 2020 was disappointing for obvious reasons. 2021 kind of disappointing for obvious reasons. So hopefully 22.
It just sucks that I think that the level of disappointment is increased by the fact that there's new consoles.
Yeah, and not a lot of people are able to get to them.
No, not even that a lot of people were able to get to them or not, but there was just new consoles, and I still don't feel like I've played a true next-gen game on either system.
Yeah,
and we're pretty much a year out.
That definitely plays a part into it, and that's why these companies are like, hey, maybe we could just extend the last generation just a little bit more. And then there's going to be people...
because it's easier to develop for, too.
Yeah. There's going to be people that are going to feel robbed in 2 years when they announce the Pro and whatever the hell you call the next series
I still haven't gotten the regular 5 yet.
Exactly. We're going to hit that point in like 2 years where they're going to announce the Pro, and then Xbox is going to announce a stupid name for their system. To make
Series X.0.
Yeah, maybe they'll just do Series XXX, and this full stupidity. But yeah, no, I'm hoping. I'm.
That's it.
It's funny when I look at 2022 releases. There's also a bunch of games that just have unknown release dates, and I think because we're going to
2023. That's why I'm saying 2023.
Yeah, we're gonna probably get surprised with a lot of 2023 games. At least the games coming out in the first half of the year have a good chance of coming out the first half of the year. Anything that's aiming for a holiday next year, I have a hard time believing they're going to hit that.
All right, so that is our show. Actually, I'm sorry, Spotlights. So Michael has an Earth Knight developer interview that's on the feed. You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I interviewed one of my friends, Rich, about his game Earth Knight. They're about to hit 3.0. It's like the final update they're doing for the game. They've been developing it for like 9 years. So I figured I'd just have him on, talk for like 20, 30 minutes just about all the crazy changes happening in the independent scene, why they were developing that game, and just how the game and the studio has evolved over time. And then Dave, you have a Far Cry episode.
Yeah, so there's a Far Cry Impressions with an interview from the game, the narrative director, as well as just my overall impressions. That's on YouTube as well. Still haven't figured out what's going on with YouTube. I got to look at that. I think it only rendered at like 720 or something like that, so it looks a little funny on people's phones and computers. So I might have to re-upload that, but it's on the audio feed as well, so those are there. So Far Cry and Earth Knight is some extra content for you guys. And while we're talking about that, we were briefly talking about it recording before we recorded. Just in case anybody's thinking or asking, like, we don't have anything tentatively scheduled or planned for episode 100. 2 reasons. Tentatively, I think Michael's out of town that week.
Yeah, I'll be available Sunday to record.
Yeah, so that's the first thing. And secondly, it's not really episode 100.
It'll be like 116, I believe.
Yeah, we've released 116 pieces of content by the time episode 100 comes out, as well as just other random things that we've been doing. And we also don't really think it's that big of a deal that we've done, a little under 2 years consecutive. It's just kind of what the expectations that we set for ourselves. So yeah, don't expect anything like super crazy for episode 100, other than me struggling through the intro, because I'll have to say a 3-digit number instead of a 2-digit number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just expect a normal episode that week, and if anything else happens, cool. I'm gonna go with it's our Midwestern humbleness that's keeping us from patting ourselves on the back for showing up every week to record a podcast.
And it also doesn't really feel like 100 between Michael and myself, obviously, because of our prior stuff. So but those are multiple reasons, as well as it's just not what we want to do. It's about you guys, not about us. So congratulations to you listening to us for 100 plus times.
That's like a survival trophy that you somehow were able to do it.
Yeah, we'll send you a participation trophy in the mail. No, we won't.
Yeah.
It's
actually just earplugs.
Jeez. All right. So that is our show. You can follow us on social media. The main account for Twitter is @DigitalDaysPod. Michael's is @TheFirstMJC. Mine is @GoodDaveHunt. Facebook group, Discord server, Patreon is all listed in the show notes. So if there's not anything else, I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.